I shouldn't be here. The thought is a frantic bird beating against the cage of my ribs. The invitation, thick cream cardstock with embossed silver lettering, feels like a forgery in my trembling hands. It arrived by mistake. It had to have. A clerical error, a misdelivered piece of mail that I seized upon with the desperation of a drowning woman clinging to a piece of driftwood. One night, that's what I told myself. One night in this glittering ballroom, a world away from the mounting bills and the scent of decay that clings to my father's legacy, the failing Cole Gallery. One night to pretend I belong among the city's elite, to maybe, just maybe, find a patron who remembers my father's name with fondness instead of pity. It's a fool's errand, a child's wish shouted into a well, but it's the only wish I have left. Then I see him, and the air leaves my lungs in a painful rush. Across the polished marble floor, a sea of silk gowns and tailored tuxedos parts for him as if he is a living tide. He stands beneath a chandelier that throws light like shattered diamonds, the facets catching in the dark silk of his suit and the even darker strands of his hair. He isn't moving, yet he commands the entire room. He is a point of gravity, pulling everything light, sound, attention into his orbit. Matteo Moretti, my first love, my first everything. The boy who taught me how to sketch constellations on a fogged-up window pane, whose laughter was the only song I ever wanted to hear. The boy who vanished 8 years ago without a word, leaving behind nothing but a gaping hole in my life and a silence that has screamed ever since. Only he isn't a boy anymore. The lanky frame has broadened into something formidable, shoulders that could carry the weight of the world, or shatter it. The easy smile that once crinkled the corners of his eyes is gone, replaced by a severe, sculpted line of a mouth that looks as if it has forgotten the shape of joy. This is not the Matteo who stole kisses behind the gallery's dusty canvases. This is the man everyone whispers about in hushed, fearful tones. The one whose name is synonymous with shadows and blood and power. The new head of the Moretti crime family. The new king of the city's underworld. Our eyes meet. It happens in an instant. A jolt of connection so sharp and sudden it feels like a physical blow. The cacophony of the ballroom, the clinking of champagne flutes, the murmur of 100 conversations, the swell of the string quartet fades into a dull, distant roar. The world contracts until it is only the space between us, a chasm of 8 years filled with unanswered questions and unspoken grief. For a timeless moment, it's just us. The girl with paint on her fingers, and the boy with starlight in his eyes, trapped in the bodies of strangers. Then he smiles. It's not the smile I remember. This one is slow, deliberate, and edged with something dangerous. It doesn't reach his eyes, which remain as cold and dark as the bottom of the ocean. It's a predator's smile, a recognition of prey that has wandered foolishly back into its territory. He starts moving toward me. He doesn't hurry. He doesn't have to. The crowd melts away from his path. I am rooted to the spot, my feet cemented to the floor, my borrowed heels digging into the plush rug. Every instinct screams at me to run, to flee this opulent nightmare and return to the familiar misery of my life. But I can't move. I can only watch him approach, each step a hammer blow against my heart. He stops a mere foot away, close enough that I can smell him. The scent is a ghost of what I remember, faint traces of the sandalwood soap he used to use, now layered with the expensive, sharp notes of cologne and something else, something metallic and cold, like steel or old money. "Sienna Cole," he murmurs, and his voice is exactly as I remember, yet entirely different. It's deeper, a low baritone that vibrates through the air and settles in my bones. It's like smoke and memory and regret, all twisted together. "You shouldn't have come." My name on his lips is both a caress and a condemnation. He says it like he's tasting it, reacquainting himself with a flavor he thought long gone. His eyes, those once warm obsidian pools, sweep over me, taking in my ill-fitting dress. The desperation I know is etched on my face. It's a clinical assessment, stripping me bare of my flimsy pretenses. I should have turned around. I should have run the moment I saw him, the moment that name echoed in the whispers around me. But I didn't, because in that instant, with his gaze holding me captive and the ghost of our past swirling in the air between us, I know a terrifying, undeniable truth. I am already his again. Matteo, I breathe, the name a shard of glass in my throat. It's the first time I've said it aloud in 8 years. It feels foreign and yet terrifyingly familiar. His expression doesn't change, but something flickers in the depths of his eyes. A recognition, a memory, or maybe just the reflection of the chandelier's cold light. "You look Surprised. Surprised? The word is a hollow laugh. I thought you were dead. The confession hangs in the air between us, raw and ugly. For years, it was the only explanation that made sense. The only narrative that could cauterize the wound of his disappearance. A tragic accident. A sudden illness. Anything was better than the truth I refused to consider. That he had simply left. A common misconception, he says, his tone clipped, dismissive. He gestures to the room around us. The opulence. The power. As you can see, reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated. His dismissiveness is a slap. All those years of grief, of staring at his empty chair in art class, of tracing his name on dusty windowsills, all of it, a footnote to him. Anger, hot and sharp, cuts through the shock. Why? The question is all I have. Why did you just disappear? No note, no call, nothing. You just vanished. He takes another step closer, invading my space, forcing me to tilt my head back to meet his gaze. The scent of him is overwhelming now, a potent mix of power and memory. Some things are better left buried, Sienna. You, of all people, should understand the importance of leaving the past in the past. His eyes flick down to the locket around my neck, the one he gave me for my 16th birthday, a tiny silver sunflower. I've never taken it off. My hand flies to it instinctively, a pathetic attempt to shield it from his view. His gaze hardens. Coming here was a mistake, a very dangerous one. People in this room, they notice things. They notice who I talk to, who I look at. His voice drops lower, a menacing rumble. They're noticing you. I glance around. He's right. The subtle hum of conversation has shifted. We are the center of attention. Eyes, curious and calculating, are fixed on us from all corners of the ballroom. I feel like a butterfly pinned to a board, my every tremble on display. A woman with blood-red lips and diamonds dripping from her ears watches us with an expression of pure venom. She looks like she wants to tear me apart with her bare hands. I have to go, I stammer, taking a step back. The illusion of this night is shattered. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a horror story, and I've just stumbled into the monster's lair. No. The word is quiet, but it carries the weight of an iron gate slamming shut. He reaches out, his fingers brushing my arm. The touch is light, almost hesitant, but it sends a jolt of electricity through me, a phantom limb remembering a sensation it thought it had lost forever. The skin of his fingers is calloused, rougher than I remember. These are not the hands of a boy who sketched in notebooks. These are the hands of a man who breaks things. You can't go, he repeats, his grip tightening just enough to be a warning. Not now. You've been seen with me. Leaving alone would be unwise. It would make you a target. A target for what? My voice is a thin, reedy thing. For my enemies, he says, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. And I have many. His gaze sweeps the room again, a king surveying his treacherous court. They will see you as a weakness, a vulnerability to be exploited. The cold dread that began as a flutter in my stomach now solidifies into a block of ice. This is real. The whispers, the fear, it's all real. And I have walked right into the middle of it. This has nothing to do with me, Matteo. I got an invitation. There are no mistakes in my world, Sienna, he says, his eyes locking back onto mine. No coincidences. Someone wanted you here. Someone wanted me to see you. The implication is terrifying. I wasn't a random guest. I was a pawn, deliberately placed on the board. What are you saying? I'm saying you're coming with me. It's not a request. It's a decree. No, the defiance is automatic, a reflex born of years of self-preservation. I'm not going anywhere with you. You can't just, I can, he interrupts, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper that no one but me can hear. I can do whatever I want. And right now, what I want is to get you out of this room before my associate, Mr. Petrov, decides you'd make a lovely piece of leverage. Do you see the man by the fountain? The one with the scar that splits his eyebrow? He's been watching you since I approached. He's already made a call. I follow his gaze. The man with the scar is staring directly at me, his phone pressed to his ear. A chilling smile plays on his lips as he meets my eyes. My blood runs cold. Your father's gallery, Matteo continues, his voice a relentless, low pressure against my ear. Still on 5th Street, isn't it? Hanging on by a thread. It would be a shame if there was a fire. An electrical fault. These old buildings are such a tinderbox. The thread is unmistakable, a cold, sharp blade pressed against the one thing I have left to love. My father's gallery is more than a building. It's my last connection to him, to the life I had before it all fell apart. It's my home. Tears of rage and fear prick at my eyes. You wouldn't I? He lets go of my arm, but I feel more trapped than ever. You left my world a long time ago, Sienna. You have no idea what I'm capable of now. But you're about to find out. He offers me his arm. A perfect, gentlemanly gesture that is anything but. You will walk out of here with me. You will smile. And you will not cause a scene. In return, I will ensure the gallery, and you, are still standing in the morning. That is the deal. It's not a deal. It's an ultimatum. A cage disguised as a choice. I look from his impassive face to the predator by the fountain, and I know I have no other option. My one night of fantasy has become a lifetime of nightmare. With a hand that feels like it belongs to someone else, I place my trembling fingers on the expensive fabric of his suit. It's warm beneath my touch. Solid. Real. Good girl, he murmurs, and the condescending praise makes my stomach turn. He covers my hand with his thumb stroking the back of my knuckles in a gesture that is both possessive and chillingly familiar. He leads me through the ballroom. The whispers follow us, like the rustle of dead leaves. I keep my head high, my smile plastered on my face, a mask of brittle composure. Every step feels like I'm walking off a cliff. With every stride, I'm leaving behind the remnants of my old life, stepping into the shadows that have claimed the boy I once loved, the man I now fear. We don't speak as he guides me out of the hotel's grand entrance and into the cool night air. A sleek black car, so dark it seems to absorb the city lights, is waiting at the curb. A driver in a crisp uniform holds the door open. Matteo doesn't release me until I'm inside, sliding onto the ridiculously soft leather seats. The door closes with a heavy, final thud, sealing me in. The sound is like a death knell for my freedom. Matteo gets in the other side. The interior of the car is a cocoon of silence and luxury. The sounds of the city are muted, distant. It's just the two of us, separated by a few feet of space that feels both vast and suffocatingly small. "Where are you taking me?" I ask, my voice barely a whisper. He doesn't look at me. He stares out the window at the blurred lights of the city streaking by. "Somewhere safe." "Safe?" I scoff, the sound harsh in the quiet car. I don't think I've ever been in more danger in my entire life. "That's where you're wrong," he says, finally turning his head. His profile is sharp in the intermittent glow of the streetlights, a Roman coin come to life. "You were in danger the moment you walked into that ballroom. I'm just the one who noticed." The car glides through the city, a silent black shark navigating a concrete reef. We leave the glittering lights of Midtown behind, heading toward the waterfront, where sleek new towers of glass and steel pierce the night sky. The car pulls into a private underground garage, the gate sliding shut behind us with another ominous thud. We are in the belly of the beast. The elevator opens directly into his apartment. No, not an apartment. A penthouse. The word seems too small for the space that greets me. An entire wall is made of glass, a 2-story window offering a breathtaking, godlike view of the entire city skyline. The furniture is minimalist, modern, and brutally expensive. Shades of gray, black, and chrome dominate the space. There are no paintings on the walls, no photographs, no clutter. It's as sterile and impersonal as a high-end hotel suite, a place where someone lives but does not make a home. It is a perfect reflection of the man standing beside me. He shrugs off his suit jacket, tossing it onto a severe-looking leather chair. He's wearing a crisp white shirt, the sleeves rolled up to his forearms, revealing tanned skin and a network of faint, silvery scars that I don't remember. A heavy, intricate tattoo of a serpent curls around his left wrist, its head disappearing under his watch. "Make yourself comfortable," he says, the words laced with an irony so thick I could choke on it. He walks over to a wet bar built into the wall and pours 2 fingers of amber liquid into a heavy crystal glass. He doesn't offer me one. I remain by the door, my clutch purse held in a white-knuckled grip. Comfortable is the last thing I could ever be here. I feel like a stray animal brought into a sterile laboratory. Every move scrutinized, every breath measured. "What is this place?" I ask. "My home," he replies, taking a slow sip of his drink, his eyes never leaving mine over the rim of the glass. "And for the foreseeable future, it's yours too." The finality in his tone sends a fresh wave of panic through me. "You can't be serious. You can't just keep me here. That's kidnapping." I prefer to think of it as protective custody, he says calmly. I made you a deal, Sienna. I'm keeping my end of it. You're safe here. No one can get to you. And what about my life? I demand, my voice rising. My gallery? My friends? Am I just supposed to disappear, just like you did? The accusation hangs in the air, sharp and pointed. He sets his glass down with a heavy clink. Your gallery will be watched over. As for your friends, you'll have to be more careful. For now, you lay low. You stay here, with me. He walks toward me, and I instinctively back away until my back hits the cold, hard surface of the door. He places a hand on the door next to my head, caging me in. He's so close I can feel the heat radiating from his body. I can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, something I'd forgotten was there. This isn't a game, he says, his voice low and intense. The man who sent you that invitation, the man who wanted you in that room tonight, he's playing for keeps. He used you to send me a message. What message? That he knows my weakness. His gaze drops to my lips, and my breath catches in my throat. He's mistaken, of course. I don't have weaknesses anymore. I had them all carved out of me a long time ago. He leans in closer, his lips almost brushing my ear. But he doesn't know that. And until I find him and I correct his misunderstanding in a very permanent way, you are the most valuable and the most vulnerable person in this city. So you will stay here, where I can see you, where I can keep you safe. Do you understand? I can only nod, my throat too tight for words. His proximity is dizzying, a toxic cocktail of fear and a deeply buried, shameful flicker of something else, something that remembers the boy and not the monster. He pulls back, his expression once again unreadable. There's a guest room upstairs, first door on the left. There are clothes in the closet. They should fit. Of course there are. He thought of everything. I am a piece on his chessboard, and he has already planned his next 10 moves. Without another word, I turn and walk toward the floating staircase that dominates the center of the room. I don't look back. I can feel his eyes on me with every step, a heavy weight on my shoulders. The guest room is as luxurious and impersonal as the rest of the penthouse. A king-sized bed, with a gray duvet, a walk-in closet filled with designer clothes still bearing their tags, and an ensuite bathroom that looks like it belongs in a spa. It's a beautiful prison. I peel off the borrowed gown and let it fall to the floor in a heap of cheap satin. I stand under the scalding spray of the rain shower, scrubbing at my skin as if I can wash off his touch, his scent, the feeling of his eyes on me. But it's no use. He's under my skin, a ghost from the past who has returned as a phantom, haunting my present. I find a pair of silk pajamas in a drawer and slip them on. They're soft and ridiculously expensive, but they feel like a costume. I crawl into the enormous, empty bed, the sheets cool and crisp against my skin. I lie there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the silence of the penthouse. It's not a peaceful silence. It's a waiting silence, heavy with unspoken words and the threat of violence. Sleep is impossible. My mind races, replaying the night's events over and over. The glittering ballroom, the shock of seeing him, the cold threat in his voice. And beneath it all, the agonizing, relentless question: why? Why did he leave? What happened in those 8 years to turn the gentle boy I loved into this hard, ruthless stranger? Hours pass. The moon traces a slow arc across the sky, its pale light filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I must have drifted off, because I'm startled awake by a sound. A soft click, followed by the faint creak of my bedroom door opening. I freeze, my heart hammering against my ribs. I pretend to be asleep, my breathing slow and even, my eyes squeezed shut. I hear soft footsteps on the plush carpet, moving closer to the bed. A shadow falls over me. I can feel his presence, a tangible weight in the air. He's just standing there, watching me. What does he want? My mind floods with 1,000 terrifying possibilities. The silence stretches on, thick and suffocating. I can hear the blood pounding in my ears. Then, I feel a feather-light touch on my cheek. His knuckles, calloused and warm, graze my skin for a fleeting second. It's a touch so gentle, so achingly familiar, it almost makes me cry out. It's the way he used to touch me when he thought I was sleeping, a secret caress just for him. A moment later, the weight of his presence is gone. The footsteps retreat, and the door closes with another soft click. I lie there for a long time, my body rigid, the ghost of his touch burning on my cheek. The monster had looked at me, and for a single, terrifying moment, I think I saw the boy. And that, I realize with a fresh wave of dread, is the most dangerous thing of all. The next few days pass in a blur of luxurious confinement. I wake up each morning in the silent guest room, the city spread out below my window like a map of a world I can no longer access. Matteo is a ghost in his own home. He leaves before I wake, a faint trace of coffee in his sharp cologne the only evidence he was ever there. He returns late at night, long after I've retreated to my room. We exist in the same space but in different time zones, ships passing in a very quiet, very tense night. His instructions are delivered via his housekeeper, a stern, silent woman named Sophia who looks at me with a mixture of pity and disapproval. I am not to leave the penthouse. My phone has been taken. For my security. I am utterly isolated, a princess locked in a glass tower, and the only dragon is also my supposed knight. I spend my days exploring my cage. I run my hands over the cold marble countertops, the supple leather of the sofas. I stand before the wall of glass, watching the city live a life without me. The sterile perfection of the place starts to get to me. There's nothing soft, nothing personal. It's a fortress, not a home. On the third day, my curiosity, or maybe just sheer, mind-numbing boredom gets the better of me. I find myself standing before a door at the end of the upstairs hallway, the only one that has remained closed. His bedroom, I assume. I know I shouldn't. It's an invasion of the little privacy we have between us. But I need something. A clue, a crack in the armor, anything to prove that a human being lives here and not just a machine of command and control. My hand hovers over the handle. I take a deep breath and push it open. His room is as Spartan as the rest of the penthouse, but with a few subtle differences. The bed is unmade, the dark gray sheets rumpled, an intimacy that feels shocking in this pristine environment. A book lies face down on the nightstand, its spine cracked. It's a collection of poetry. Keats, the same book I gave him for his 17th birthday. My heart stutters. I move further into the room, drawn by an invisible thread. His scent is stronger here, clinging to the pillows, the air. On his dresser, next to a sleek watch and a pair of silver cufflinks, is a small, worn photograph in a simple frame. It's a picture of us. We're 16, sitting on a bench in Central Park, laughing. My head is thrown back, my hair a wild mess. He's looking at me, not the camera, and his expression is one of such open, unguarded adoration that it steals the air from my lungs. This man, this cold, ruthless stranger, keeps a picture of us, of the boy he was, of the girl I was. He keeps the book of poems I gave him. Find what you were looking for? I gasp and spin around. Matteo is standing in the doorway, leaning against the frame, his arms crossed over his chest. He's home early. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes are hard, flinty. I've been caught. I stammer, my face burning with shame. My hand is still on his dresser, inches from the photograph. I feel like a trespasser, a thief. Snooping, he finishes for me, his voice flat. He pushes off the doorframe and walks into the room, his presence immediately shrinking the space. He doesn't look angry. He looks tired. And something else, something that might be disappointment. You shouldn't be in here, he says quietly. I know, I whisper. I'm sorry. I was just going crazy, locked up in here. I needed to see something real. He stops in front of the dresser and picks up the photograph. He stares at it for a long moment, his thumb tracing the outline of my laughing face. She was real, he says, his voice rough with an emotion I can't place. The boy in that picture was real, too. They're both gone, Sienna. He places the photo face down on the dresser. The action is so deliberate, so final. It feels like he's burying us all over again. What happened to you, Matteo? The question slips out, raw and pleading. What happened to turn you into this? I gesture vaguely at the room. The view, the invisible cage he's built for himself. He turns to me, his eyes dark with unspeakable things. The world happened. The world you were protected from. The world that chews up boys like him and spits out men like me. He takes a step toward me, his gaze intense. The night I left, it wasn't a choice. My father was killed. My entire family was slaughtered by our rivals, the Petrovs. I was 17. I was supposed to be next. I ran. I hid. And I learned. I learned how to be stronger, how to be more ruthless than they were. I spent 8 years in hell, Sienna. clawing my way back, piece by piece, so that I could come home and burn their world to the ground. That's what happened. The story spills out of him in a torrent, each word a stone dropped into the placid pool of my ignorance. His family. I remember his father, a jovial man who smelled of cigars and always slipped me a $20 bill. His mother, who made the best cannoli in the city, all gone, slaughtered. And Matteo, a boy, left alone to navigate that sea of blood. The anger I've been nursing for 8 years dissolves, replaced by a profound, aching sorrow. The boy I loved didn't leave me. He was ripped away. He died that night, and this man was forged in the fire of his grief and rage. Matteo, I reach out, my hand hovering in the air between us, wanting to offer a comfort I have no right to give. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. He flinches away from my potential touch as if burned. Don't be, he says, his voice like gravel. Pity is a luxury I can't afford. It's a weakness. He turns away, presenting me with his broad, unyielding back. The Petrovs are still out there. The son, Alexei, is the man you saw at the gala, the one with the scar. He's the one who arranged for your invitation. He was testing me, seeing if the ghost of that boy still lived inside me, seeing if you were still my weakness. Suddenly, everything clicks into place. The invitation. The danger. My presence here. It was all a move in a much older, deadlier game. So you brought me here to protect me, I say, the realization dawning. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't about possession. It was protection. A twisted, controlling, terrifying form of it, but protection nonetheless. I brought you here because I made a mistake, he says, still not looking at me. I should have stayed away. When I came back to the city, I knew you were here. I watched you, from a distance. I saw you struggling with the gallery after your father died. I wanted to help, but I knew that getting close to you would only put you in danger. It would paint a target on your back, so I stayed away. Until Alexei Petrov forced my hand. He finally turns, his face a mask of self-loathing. I walked over to you in that ballroom, and in doing so, I signed your death warrant, or I chained you to me. I'm not sure which is worse. This is the crack in his armor, the vulnerable revelation. He's not a monster. He's a man trapped by his past, by a cage of his own making, built from duty and revenge. He's been protecting me all along, in the only way he knows how, by keeping his distance. It's not worse, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. I take a step toward him, closing the distance he tries so hard to maintain. Matteo, look at me. He resists for a moment, then his eyes lift to meet mine. They are filled with a storm of conflict, of pain held in check for years. You didn't choose this life, I say softly. It chose you. You did what you had to do to survive. I don't see a monster. I see the boy who survived. Something in his expression breaks. A fissure in the stone. For the first time, the impenetrable mask of the mafia boss slips, and I see a flicker of the 17-year-old boy, lost and alone and terrified. He reaches out, his hand cupping my jaw, his thumb stroking my cheek. It's not the phantom touch from the other night. This is real, solid. His calloused skin is a rough comfort against mine. His eyes search my face, looking for, what? Revulsion? Fear? He finds none, only a deep, resonant understanding. Sienna, he breathes, his voice thick with 8 years of unspoken words. And then he kisses me. It's not a gentle kiss. It's desperate, hungry. It's 8 years of grief and anger and longing poured into one searing, explosive moment. It's a collision of past and present, of the boy I lost and the man I've found. His other arm snakes around my waist, pulling me flush against him, and I cling to him, my fingers tangling in his hair. The kiss is raw and honest. It tastes of whiskey and regret, and a sorrow so deep it threatens to drown us both. But underneath it all, there is a current of something else, something fierce and undeniable, a connection that not even death and time and bloodshed could sever. When we finally break apart, we're both breathless, our foreheads resting against each other. The air in the room is electric, charged with everything that has just passed between us. The dynamic has shifted, irrevocably. The line between captor and captive, monster and man, has blurred into non-existence. You're still my weakness, aren't you? He murmurs against my lips, the words a confession, a curse, and a prayer all at once. No, I whisper, my hand coming up to rest on his heart. I can feel it beating, strong and steady, beneath my palm. I'm your strength. A fragile truce settles between us in the days that follow. The tension that once crackled in the air has been replaced by a quiet intimacy. We are no longer orbiting each other like wary planets. We have collided, and now we must learn to navigate the new landscape we've created. We start eating meals together. The first time, it's an awkward breakfast in the vast, sunlit kitchen. We sit at opposite ends of a long marble island, the silence punctuated only by the clink of silverware. But slowly, the space between us shrinks. He starts telling me about his day, not the violent details, but the mundane frustrations of running a complex organization. He talks about supply chains and difficult negotiations, and I talk about the art world, about the new exhibit I was planning for the gallery before my world turned upside down. He listens. He truly listens, his dark eyes focused on me, absorbing every word. He asks questions, his interest genuine. I realize with a pang that no one has listened to me like this since my father died. One evening, I find him in his office, a sleek, glass-walled room overlooking the city. He's hunched over a stack of papers, a pen between his teeth, a frown creasing his brow. "What is it?" I ask, leaning against the doorframe. He looks up, startled, as if he's forgotten anyone else is here. "It's nothing. Business." "Let me see," I say, walking over. I gently pull the paper from him. It's a ledger, a confusing jumble of numbers and names. I scan it, my years of helping my father with the gallery's precarious finances kicking in. This doesn't add up. This shipment value is inflated, and it's being routed through a shell corporation that's only existed for 2 months. Someone's skimming off the top. A lot. He stares at me, a slow, dawning respect in his eyes. He takes the paper back and looks at it with fresh perspective. "Marco," he says, the name, a low growl. "My father's most trusted advisor, the one who survived the attack. The traitor is usually the one you least suspect," I say softly. He looks at me, and for the first time, he smiles. A real smile. It's a small, hesitant thing, but it reaches his eyes, and it's like watching the sun rise after a long night. "You're good at this." "My father taught me to always look for the story behind the numbers," I reply, a warmth spreading through my chest. In that moment, I'm not his prisoner or his weakness. I'm his partner, his equal. The physical intimacy between us grows as well, but it's slow, tentative. It's stolen touches, his hand lingering on the small of my back as we pass in the hallway. It's him finding me asleep on the sofa and carrying me upstairs to my bed, tucking me in with a gentleness that makes my heart ache. It's one night, after a nightmare jolts me awake, I find my way to his room, and he wordlessly pulls back the covers, letting me curl up against him. He holds me until the shaking stops, his steady heartbeat a lullaby against my ear. I am beginning to feel safe here. The gilded cage is starting to feel like a sanctuary. The fear I first felt has been replaced by a complicated, burgeoning hope. I see the man he is, but I also see the boy he was, and I'm starting to fall in love with them both. But our fragile peace is a bubble, and we both know it's only a matter of time before the outside world comes to burst it. The first crack appears a week later. Matteo comes home late, his face grim, a dark bruise blooming on his cheekbone. There's a tension in his shoulders that wasn't there before. "What happened?" I ask, meeting him at the door with a first aid kit. "A negotiation got heated," he says, shrugging off his jacket. He winces as the movement pulls at a cut on his side. I see the dark stain of blood on his white shirt. "Matteo," I gasp, rushing forward. I help him to the sofa and gently lift his shirt. A nasty gash runs along his ribs. It's not deep, but it's bleeding sluggishly. "It's nothing," he grunts, but his face is pale. "It's not nothing," I insist, my hands surprisingly steady as I clean the wound. My touch is clinical at first, but as I work, it becomes something more. My fingers trace the hard planes of his stomach, the network of old scars that tell the story of his survival. He watches me, his breathing evening out, his eyes dark and intense. "You should be afraid of this," he says, his voice a low rumble. "The blood, the violence, this is my world. I'm not afraid of you," I say, meeting his gaze. I finish bandaging the wound, my hands lingering on his skin. "I'm afraid of losing you." The admission hangs in the air, a truth so potent it changes the very atmosphere of the room. He reaches up, his hand tangling in my hair, and pulls me down for a kiss. This kiss is different from the first. It's not born of desperation, but of a deep, soul-shattering tenderness. It's a promise, a claim. But as I'm cleaning up the first aid supplies, my hand brushes against his jacket, and a piece of paper falls out of the pocket. It's a folded document, a private investigator's report. My blood runs cold as I see my own name at the top. My hands shaking, I unfold it. It's a detailed surveillance report on me. From a month ago, before the gala, it details my daily routine, my financial struggles, the gallery's impending bankruptcy. He wasn't just watching me from a distance. He was having me investigated. The date on the report is what stops my heart. It's dated the day before the invitation to the gala arrived. There are no mistakes in my world, Sienna. No coincidences. He knew. He knew I was in trouble. He knew I was vulnerable. The invitation. Was it really from Alexei Petrov? Or was it from him? Was this whole thing a setup? A calculated plan to get me here? To trap me under the guise of protecting me? The trust I had so carefully built shatters into a million pieces. The sanctuary becomes a cage once more. The man I was falling in love with blurs, and the monster comes back into sharp focus. I feel a fool, a naive, stupid girl who fell for a tragic story and a few soft touches. He didn't just stumble back into my life. He orchestrated it. He manipulated my desperation. I confront him that night. I hold up the report, my hand trembling with a rage so cold it feels like ice in my veins. What is this? He looks at the paper, then at my face. He doesn't even have the decency to look guilty. He just looks weary. Sienna, don't, I spit. Don't you dare try to explain. You had me investigated. You knew everything. You knew how desperate I was. The invitation, was it from you? No, he says, his voice firm. The invitation was from Petrov. I swear it. But you knew I'd be there. I'm shouting now, the sound raw in the silent penthouse. You knew I'd be in that room. You set me up. I was trying to help you. He yells back, his control finally snapping. The gallery was about to go under. I was arranging an anonymous buyer, a foundation that would purchase it and let you stay on as curator. I was trying to save your father's legacy without you ever knowing I was involved. I was trying to protect you from me, but Petrov found out. He got to the gala organizers first. He used my plan against me. His words are a torrent, desperate and sincere, but the betrayal stings too sharply. I can't see past the manipulation, the lies of omission. I don't believe you, I whisper, the words tasting like ash. You control everything, Matteo. You don't help people, you acquire them. And you just acquired me. I turn and run to my room, slamming the door behind me. I slide down to the floor, my body racked with sobs. The heartbreak is somehow worse this time than it was 8 years ago. Then, I lost a boy to the unknown. Now, I've lost a man to a truth I can't bear. The sound of shattering glass from downstairs makes me jump. It's followed by a roar of pure, animalistic rage. It's the sound of a man watching his world, so carefully constructed, burn to the ground. Just as the sound dies away, a new one begins. The insistent, shrill ringing of the penthouse's security alarm. Red lights begin to flash, bathing the hallway in an apocalyptic glow. My door bursts open. It's Matteo. His face is a mask of grim urgency. He has a gun in his hand. They're here, he says, his voice deadly calm. Petrov's men. They've breached the building. The betrayal, the argument, it all evaporates in the face of immediate life-threatening danger. Fear, sharp and primal, takes its place. He pulls me to my feet. We have to go. There's a panic room. He grabs my arm and pulls me out into the hallway. The alarm is deafening. We can hear shouting from downstairs, the thud of heavy boots on the marble floor. My office, he says, pulling me toward the glass-walled room, the wall behind the desk. We're halfway there when 2 men appear at the top of the stairs. They are dressed in black tactical gear, carrying automatic weapons. They raise their guns. Matteo shoves me behind him, shielding me with his body. He raises his own gun and fires, 2 precise shots. The men fall. He doesn't even hesitate. He is a creature of pure, lethal instinct. Move, he barks, pulling me along. We reach the office. He shoves me inside and runs to the large mahogany desk. He presses a hidden button, and a section of the bookshelf behind it slides open, revealing a reinforced steel door. Just as he's keying in the code, the glass wall of the office explodes inward in a shower of glittering shards. Alexei Petrov steps through the shattered frame, a cruel smirk on his scarred face. He has a gun pointed directly at us. At me. "Moretti," he says, his voice a gravelly sneer. "I knew you still had a soft spot. I told you I'd take everything from you, just like you took my father from me." Matteo freezes, his body a rigid line of fury. "This is between you and me, Petrov. Let her go." "Oh no," Petrov laughs, a horrible, grating sound. "She's the whole point. You die, and I take her. A fitting end. The woman your father's son couldn't protect. My mind is racing. Betrayal or not, I can't let him die." I look around the room, my eyes landing on a heavy glass paperweight on the edge of the desk. Matteo is standing between us, a human shield. He's talking to Petrov, trying to buy time, his voice low and steady. But Petrov is getting impatient. He's raising his gun, taking aim. In that split second, I have to make a choice. Trust the man who lied to me, or let us both die. The memory of his face when he spoke of his family, the feel of his hand on my cheek, the sound of his heart beating against my ear, it all rushes back. He isn't a monster. He's just Matteo. "Matteo, duck!" I scream. As he instinctively drops, I grab the paperweight and hurl it with all my might at Petrov. It hits him square in the temple. He stumbles back with a cry of pain, his shot going wide, shattering a lamp on the wall. That's all the opening Matteo needs. He moves with a speed that is terrifying and beautiful. He lunges forward, disarming Petrov in one fluid motion, and slams him against the remaining wall. The fight is brutal, fast, and silent. It ends with Matteo in control, Petrov gasping on the floor. The panic room door is open. Matteo grabs me, his eyes wild with adrenaline, and something else, a desperate, fierce relief. He shoves me inside. "Stay here. Don't open it for anyone but me." "No." I grab his arm. "I'm not leaving you. Sienna, you have to," he pleads, his voice raw. "We do this together," I say, my voice ringing with a conviction I didn't know I possessed. "You said I was your strength. Prove it. Trust me." He stares at me for a long, breathless moment. The sounds of more men storming the apartment are getting closer. He sees the resolve in my eyes. He makes a decision. "All right," he says. He pulls a smaller pistol from an ankle holster and presses it into my hands. "Stay behind me. Don't shoot unless you have to." We move as one, a unified front against the storm that has broken in our home. We are no longer captor and captive. We are partners. We fight our way through the penthouse, room by room. He moves with deadly efficiency, and I am his shadow, watching his back, my fear burned away by a cold, clear purpose. We are not just fighting for our lives, we are fighting for our future. The battle is bloody and swift. It ends in the cavernous living room, where the last of Petrov's men lie fallen. Matteo stands over Petrov, his chest heaving, his face a mask of cold fury. The city lights glitter behind him through the shattered wall of glass, a beautiful backdrop to a brutal scene. The threat is over. The silence that descends is heavy, broken only by our ragged breaths and the distant wail of sirens. Matteo turns to me. His face is bruised, his shirt is torn, but his eyes are clear. They are filled with a profound, overwhelming love. He crosses the room in 3 long strides and pulls me into his arms, holding me so tightly I can barely breathe. I bury my face in his chest, inhaling his scent, the smell of gunpowder and safety and home. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispers into my hair. "Never," I say, my voice muffled by his shirt. "You're stuck with me. The immediate danger is gone. The external conflict is resolved, at least for now." In the aftermath, as his people quietly and efficiently clean up the mess, we sit on the edge of the unscarred sofa, the space between us gone. My head rests on his shoulder. His arm is wrapped securely around me. "He's not dead," Matteo says, staring out at the city. "Petrov, I'm having him sent away. Somewhere he can't hurt anyone ever again. Killing him would just start another war. It's time for the bloodshed to end. It's a monumental decision. He is choosing peace over vengeance. He is choosing a future over the past. He is choosing it for us. The original deal is off," he says, turning to look at me. His face is serious, vulnerable. "The threat to you is neutralized. You're free to go, Sienna. I'll give you enough money to save the gallery 100 times over. You can go back to your life. You never have to see me, or this world, ever again. He is offering me an out, the choice he never had. I lift my head from his shoulder and look into his eyes. I see the fear there, the terror that I will take the offer, that I will walk away and leave him alone in his glass tower. I think about my old life, the quiet solitude of the gallery, the familiar weight of my grief. It was safe, it was known, but it was small. It was a black and white photograph. My time with him, as terrifying and tumultuous as it has been in vivid, brilliant, breathtaking color. I don't want my old life, I say softly. I reach up and trace the line of his jaw. And I don't want your money. His breath hitches. What do you want, Sienna? I want you, I say. The words simple and true. I want this. Us. I don't want to be protected from your world. I want to be a part of it. With you. A single tear escapes his eye and traces a path through the grime on his cheek. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. This world is dangerous, he warns, his voice thick. It's ugly. And I helped you fight your way through it tonight, I counter. I'm not that fragile girl in the photograph anymore, Matteo. And you're not just the boy I lost. We're something new. He leans in and kisses me. It is a kiss of utter devotion. It is a new pact, a new beginning, signed not with ink or blood, but with the absolute certainty of two souls who have fought their way through the darkness to find each other. Stay with me, he murmurs against my lips. Marry me. It's not a command. It's not a demand. It is a plea from the very depths of his heart. Yes, I breathe, without a moment's hesitation. He pulls back, a look of awe on his face, as if he can't believe it. He slides off the sofa onto one knee, right there, amidst the lingering scent of smoke and the wreckage of their battle. He has no ring. He has nothing to offer but his broken, beautiful, fiercely loyal heart. It is more than enough. Sienna Cole, he says, his voice shaking with emotion. I love you. I have loved you for half my life. I love you too, Matteo Moretti, I reply, my own tears finally falling. I never stopped. He rises and lifts me into his arms, and in that moment, in our beautiful shattered home, with the city lights blazing behind us, I know I haven't been a captive. I have been found. The mistaken invitation wasn't a mistake at all. It was destiny, calling me home. I still wake up sometimes thinking I dreamed it all, the invitation, the ballroom, the way his eyes found me across a sea of strangers. But then I turn my head, and he's there, the man the world calls a monster, breathing quietly beside me, the same heartbeat that once vanished from my world 8 years ago, now steady and real beneath my hand. I shouldn't have gone that night. I shouldn't have touched him. I shouldn't have said yes. And yet, every shouldn't led me here to the edge of danger, to the heart of a man who built an empire out of ashes, and to the truth I spent my life pretending didn't exist. That love, real love, isn't gentle. It's a storm. It destroys before it rebuilds. So yes, I stayed. Not because I was trapped, but because I finally understood sometimes the safest place is the one everyone else runs from. And the boy I once lost? He didn't die. He just grew teeth. If you've been with me through every breath of this story, through the fear, the fury, the fire, thank you. Tell me in the comments, would you have left when he told you to? Or would you have stayed when he asked you to? Like this video if your heart raced with mine. Subscribe and ring the bell for the next dark, beautiful love story. And until next time, keep your heart brave, and never mistake danger for the absence of love.